stuff. No. Christopher Davis, who is running for state senate, he's running against Neil Breslin in the 44th district, sent out a press release that I found rather interesting. He's talking about water testing study. He wants to look at our water. And I was curious about this because here we have somebody who's been involved in a long time. I'm talking about Senator Breslin, but we don't ever get stuff like this from him. So what gives with this, Chris Davis? What is this with you? Why are you actually doing something and asking for things? I don't quite understand that. Those of us that live in this district are extremely confused. What's going on?
Well, good afternoon, Melody. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
This is just yet another issue that we have in this district, which is a direct result of inaction and, in my opinion, incompetence at the senatorial level. Look, the priority of any elected official should be not only to protect and promote our Constitution, but also to protect our infrastructure and our public health. Mm-hmm. That is not being done here. Now, I understand that my call for this water testing study comes at a time where we have the PFOA crisis. You see things in Flint, Michigan and whatnot. But here's the problem that I have. We have known about this issue for decades. We
Mm-hmm.
know that our infrastructure, I'm talking about our waterline infrastructure beneath our roads, it's ancient. It's out of date. They're decades past their useful life. And so now we're seeing more and more water main breaks. They're becoming commonplace. We have entire neighborhoods that are without water. We literally have roads that are swallowing our cars because we sat around and decided we're not going to invest in our infrastructure because we want things that the people can see, parks, monuments, etc., so we can get reelected. And now we're actually reaping what we've sown. So the reason I'm calling for this water testing study is to enhance my call to support our infrastructure investment. And what I'm interested in doing is I want to know what the levels of heavy metals are in our water. Now, we have some bills right now that would call for testing in our schools of the drinking water, which I support 100%. But what I think we need to do is not just look at our schools, but let's do a random sample of 200 homes in the district with their permission to test their water and kind of quantify the problem to see, okay, what really is going on with the metals in the water? Now, how are these metals getting into the water? Unlike the PFOA crisis that we're seeing in Hoosick Falls, it's not a contamination issue from industry. It's a result of inaction. Our pipes are so old under our cities and towns that they're rusting. And so there's actually rust in our water that's seeping in, and you're seeing concentrations of things like lead and arsenic creep up. We know that these metals cause developmental disabilities in children. They're linked to cancer, bone issues, and a whole range of public health issues. That costs us money on things like Medicaid treatment, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So we need to quantify the problem so that we have that data. Every issue I tackle, and I've talked about in this race, whether it's our electric bills or protecting children from sexual predators, I've backed it up with data. This is why I want this study. We all pay taxes. We deserve a safe infrastructure. And so if we have this data, we can go to the federal government and say, look, we need you to invest in this district. We're one of the oldest infrastructures in the country. I'm fighting for this. We need the help.
Well, now I have a few questions for you. First of all, last year, weren't there a number of school districts across the state, and this is just school districts, that found a lot of lead in their water?
That's correct. And so, you won't often hear me credit, Chuck Schumer for many things, but, he showed some leadership on this issue and called for some of the testing in schools. Some of our local electeds got on board. I mentioned we have a bill that passed the Senate in June. Mm-hmm. I don't believe it's moved in the Assembly yet. Mm-hmm. That would actually require periodic testing in the schools. And again, this is to help understand where we're at. Now, what are we going to do about that? Our homes and our schools and other buildings, that's an investment that would need to be made in the buildings. What I'm talking about is our actual overall infrastructure, right. Our cities, our towns. I mean, this is a major public works program that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, but I was just saying that if we have this problem in the schools, why would we not have it in our homes? I mean, that's where I was going from that.
And that's exactly why I'm calling for this study. I want to know, and I want to see the data. I want to know exactly what we're facing, because I think it's absolutely deplorable that we could literally be being poisoned because of inaction. It's mm-hmm. ridiculous. It's time that we actually do these things. And think about all the jobs something like this would create. Yes, it's tax dollar investment. I think government doesn't do many things well, but unfortunately, they are pretty much in charge of our infrastructure right now, and our tax dollars go to that. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of sending money overseas. I'm tired of blowing up bridges in other countries and rebuilding them, when here we're suffering. People are starving, the infrastructure is falling apart, and we have zero leadership locally stepping up and saying, hey, wait a minute, things are falling apart here. state, we need help. Federal government, please look at these issues. That's what this study is about.
Yeah. Well, I thought that, I mean, not only Barack Obama, but Andrew Cuomo were running this big, we've got to look at our infrastructure campaign, and that we were going to put billions of dollars into our infrastructure and we were going to save all these problems. We weren't going to have all these problems. Whatever happened with that? Did that was that just a poof, a slogan, and then we went without that? I mean, what's going on with that?
Like all these other career politicians, it's lip service to get the support, get the votes they need, and then once they're in office, nothing moves. Now, again, Cuomo was somebody that I disagree with, 9 times out of 10. There has been some money put into local projects, a little bit into our bridges, some roadways, some of the highways and things, but I mean, it's not nearly enough. We're applauding, $400,000 grants to do like some sewer repairs and things. I mean, I'm talking about magnitudes of order higher. It's going to be a big investment, but you know what? Look at all the money we waste on certain things. I'm tired of the sweetheart deals for corporations to come in here, things like Startup New York, which are costing hundreds of millions of dollars and getting zero results. The expansion of social welfare programs, which I understand we need safety nets if people fall in hard times, but a lot of them don't work or they're being abused. We're wasting money. And this is something that we actually need. And I just think it's something that your leadership needs to step up and get the priorities straight. And unfortunately, when you have guys in office who are only there serving themselves or serving the party, it's not going to get done. That's why I've taken on this issue. I've been talking about the water lines for over a year. But now with water actually being a hot topic and people paying attention, now is the time for me to come in and say, okay, now that people are paying attention, here's what I've been talking about.
Well,
we need this.
Let me ask you this question about the big water problem that seems to be going on, and I can understand why it's taken so long to resolve it. The one here in Albany, off New Scotland Ave and in that direction. Why has that taken so long? And doesn't that fall within your district? And I haven't.
This is in the heart of the district.
Yeah.
And so
I haven't seen Senator Breslin talk about it. Is he on vacation? Do you know?
Has anyone seen Senator Breslin? I haven't. Well, I mean, he comes around election time, I guess, for some ribbon cuttings and things. But I'd let him defend himself. But no, I don't think he's come out on this issue. He doesn't really speak about these things. I went down and took a look at it. This was probably a month ago that this first started.
Yeah, it's a while ago.
Just out of curiosity. But, this is our second big sinkhole that I can remember. There was one on Campbell Avenue in Troy, same thing a while ago. And, these things take a month to fix. We spend millions and millions of dollars. The problem we had there was we had a lot of heavy rain at the time.
Yeah.
So it delayed the work. Now, folks, what you need to understand about this sinkhole is that it happened because of a very, very old pipe and a severe water main break. And what are we doing? We're just patching it up with a temporary fix, a known temporary fix. We're going to have to dig all that back up in a few years and fix it the right way. So we're wasting our money. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, we seem to do that on a regular basis, though. I'm talking to Chris Davis, who's running for New York State Senate, by the way, in the 44th district. So that does include a little bit of Troy, correct? And it's all of Albany? How's that work?
We've got 2/3 of Troy, everything but Berg. Then we've got the city of Rensselaer and Rensselaer County. Over here on this side of the river in Albany County, it's Albany, Bethlehem, Colony, Cohoes, Waterville, Green Island.
Okay. So, I mean, just the Albany piece alone, seeing the number of issues that we've had with water lines and also with Troy, even in the last, 12 to 24 months, I would think that this would be a hot topic and this would be a big discussion. I mean, what do we do with our quote unquote, to use a politician's terminology, aging infrastructure? And how do we pay for it, Chris? Because that's the other thing. I mean, it's great, but then where does this money come from?
Yeah, sure. And so this is one of the things that I take some heat on is people say, well, look, you don't want to raise taxes. You're trying to cut taxes on small businesses, but yet you want to make these investments that need public dollars. My call is to say, look, you need a representative who's not just going to fight for state money to be put back in. We pay a lot of taxes in this district. We do not get those state dollars invested back. It all goes to the city, Buffalo, et cetera. We don't get our fair share, to use another term that they like to use. But we also need federal investment. A job to me as a state representative is to work with your federal partners, apply for the grants, take your case to the federal panels who make the decision on where funding goes, and fight for it. So we need not just me as a state senator, but we need our congressmen, we need our U.S. senators on board with this and saying, look what's going on here. Look at the money being spent and really just wasted doing patchwork. It's something that is so important that we really need to look at every dollar we're spending And if it was me, if I was in charge of the entire budget, I'd turn things upside down and shake things up. Our spending priorities are all in the wrong place. You talk about it every day on your program.
Yes.
We know it's an issue, but you know what doesn't happen? Nobody locally steps up and says, here's what I'm going to do. And so that's what this study's about.
Yeah.
We're going to bring evidence. We already know the roads are falling apart. You see the water main breaks. That data is known. Yep. It's up 400% or 500% in 10 years. Now I want public health data to support the issue.
Okay, so I had to throw this out here because this morning Kathy Marchione was on, and they're telling me that she was discussing how there are certain things she couldn't do because she's in the minority. You would be, the Senate, if enough of you win, you would be the majority, but you can't get things done. What do you think about her statement, though, Chris? Is that the truth? I mean, if perhaps we stay in the same shape, that there isn't a major influx of Republicans that win, and then you don't have that much power. I mean, you seem to have a lot of things that you want to accomplish. How would you accomplish that? I mean, if we stayed the same way.
This question gets at the root of the problem. We're talking about party politics again. Well, if one side wants it, the other side's going to say no because it might make them look good.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. Every door I talk to, I go in and I say, look, I'm really tired of the divisional politics. If you look at my campaign literature and even my website, there is really not too much on there that's controversial. It's the stuff that government's supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. I will work with both sides of the aisle. I will work with whoever the current governor is. I will work with our congressmen, U.S. senators. I don't care what party they're affiliated with. We need to get these things done. As for Senator Marchione, I did not catch the conversation that you're referencing, but I believe you said she was in the minority. I mean, currently the Republicans were in the majority this year, so I'm not sure if that's factually correct. But I know she's taking a lot of heat on this issue because it's in her district.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think the question was about the Second Amendment. I too didn't hear it. I was just getting notes from people who asked me that question.
You were referencing the CFOA.
No, their question, I assume the question that I got from somebody was, that was, the remark that she was talking about. Well, it's difficult to get things done when you're in the minority, and what happens. But I mean, and in New York State, it's kind of a wicked place because there are so many special interests and there are so many, you got to walk around this guy because he knows that guy and they've got to get this done. I mean, we've seen that. We've seen the corruption, all of that. I mean, you've never been in politics before, Chris. I mean, are you brave enough to
understand how it works?
Yeah.
Look,
but I mean, are you really that brave that you want to get in the middle of the cesspool and do something about it?
Look, if somebody doesn't go in to try and fight and clean it up, it's never going to change. And that's what the race is about. I mean, I'm tired of seeing politicians go in and not have a challenger year after year after year, and yet people are complaining that nothing gets done. And then when they have a challenger, they say, well, everybody's got to go but my guy. And you wonder, I mean, we've got 30, 40% approval ratings, but high 90% re-election rates. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, how do you get things done? You've got to fight for it. I think, aside from this issue, getting at the broader issue of the stalemate that we see every year back and forth, you need term limits. I mean, term limits are huge. It's something I'm fighting for. I think that would help prevent a little bit of hey, look, buddy, you want me to help your district. You're voting yes on this bill or else you're done.
Yeah, I agree with you. The term limits are the answer to that because...
And, the other thing I'll add to that, too, is that, we know what goes on behind closed doors. And this is why people vote in lockstep with the party, because the party will say, look, if you don't play ball, we're going to fund a primary opponent, or we might even fund your direct opposition, or we're going to go with somebody who will play ball with us, or we're not going to give your district what you need. We're going to give it somewhere else. And so your hands get a little tied a bit. But, in a day where information is instant, I think, with my transparency initiative, where I'm going to explain every single vote I make on my website or my social media, you're going to know what I did and why.
There you go.
And I would challenge current representation to do the same thing, because 99 times out of 100, they're going to say, I voted because the leadership told me to. Now, that's not everybody, but that is a strong majority of the people who have been there for years and years and years and have gotten absolutely nothing done.
That's what we hear. Well, listen, good luck to you. Thanks for coming on and sharing this. It's always great. And like I said, Senator Breslin's welcome to come on and, talk about these issues anytime. So is any other somebody that's running for office or any other politician. We're okay with them coming on and discussing their points of view. I think it only helps, the people in the area to get to know a little bit more about you, and it also hopefully gets some of their questions answered. Thanks, Chris. People want to find you. They can go to info@davisfornys.com, correct?
Well, that's an email address to our general campaign, but to visit my website, www.davisfornys.com, and really check out what we're doing on social media at Davis for NYS on Twitter and Christopher S. Davis for State Senate on Facebook. I think you're going to find a lot of motivation here and a lot of excitement in this campaign. I encourage you to check us out.
You got it. Thank you, sir. All right, there we go. It's 12:20. Got to take a break, and then we'll get right back.